Hi everyone, how you doing? Oh, it's been a chilly day today, hasn't it? Woo! It was so cold. Had a roaring fire last night, keep us warm. Oh, it was lovely. So tonight's story is from Stories of Magic and Mischief, and it's called A Peculiar Adventure. So if you're all sitting nice and snuggly wuggly, then Nana will begin. Meow, said a voice just down by Ronnie's feet. He looked down, but he couldn't see anything, which wasn't very surprising because there was a thick fog that hid even the houses nearby. "Where are you?" said Ronnie. "You're a cat, I suppose, and you're lost in the fog." "Meow," said the cat in a louder voice, and rubbed itself against Ronnie's legs. He switched on his torch and looked down. "My word, what a wonderful cat you are," he said. "As black as soot and with eyes as green as cucumbers. Are you lost? Where do you live?" "Meow," said the cat as if it was explaining where its home was. Then Ronnie noticed that it wore a little collar round its neck with a disc hanging from it. Perhaps its name and address were on that. He looked at the disc in the light of his torch. "Yes, here's your name, I suppose, Cinders, and your address. Wizard Cottage, Hanger Lane. Well, Hanger Lane isn't far away, Cinders, so I'll take you there to find your house." Wizard Cottage, what a strange name for a house. I've never noticed it before. Come along, keep at my heels and we'll soon be there. The cat kept close to Ronnie as he went down the road and round the corner. The little boy flashed his torch on the name of the gate. Holly Trees? That's not it. Little Abbey? That's not it either. What's this one? Red Roofs? I do hope we shan't have to go all down the road before we find it, and then back again, down the opposite side. "Meow," said the cat. Ronnie went down on the road looking for Wizard Cottage, and there it was. The very, very last house in the row. The one in the corner. Its name was on the gate. Wizard Cottage. "Here we are," said Ronnie. "Shall I ring the bell and hand you in, Puss? If I leave you wandering around outside, you may get lost again. I'll ring or knock." He knocked, because there was no bell. The knocker was very strange. It was in the shape of a hand, and Ronnie felt as if it was shaking hands with him when he knocked. The door opened, but nobody stood behind it. Ronnie hesitated. He didn't like to go in, but the cat walked straight in, turned round and looked at Ronnie. "Meow," it said politely. "Do come in," shouted a voice, "and shut the door. The fog's spoiling my work." Ronnie went in and shut the door, and he walked up a very long passage and found himself in a perfectly round room. He stared in amazement. A fire with green flames came up from a hole in the middle of the floor. Over it hung a great golden pot in which something boiled and bubbled, singing an old little tune the whole time. A tall man in a flowing black cloak and a high-pointed hat was pouring something into the pot. The cat ran up to him and rubbed itself against his legs. "So you've come back, Cinders," he said. "Didn't I tell you not to go out into the fog? You're too late to help me now, and I don't feel at all pleased with you." Excuse me," said Ronnie, feeling puzzled with excitement. "I found your lost cat and brought him back." "Oh, I'm sorry I didn't see you," said the tall man, turning round with a smile that lit up his whole face and made Ronnie like him very much. "You came in with Cinders, I suppose. Thank you for looking after him. He's no good in a fog, but he will go out in them." Ronnie didn't know what to say. He stared at the bubbling pot in astonishment to see the liquid in it suddenly change from green to yellow and then to bright silver. "Excuse me a moment. I really must stir this," said the man. "By the way, I should introduce myself, shouldn't I? I'm Mr. Spells." "I'm Ronnie James," said Ronnie. "Meow," said the cat. "Don't keep interrupting," said Mr. Spells. "Oh, you want some milk, do you? Ronnie, stir this mixture for me, will you, and I'll get Cinders some milk." Ronnie found himself stirring a strange bubbling mixture. Some of it splashed over the edge of the pot onto his right shoe. "Oh dear, what a good thing I've got my very oldest shoes on," said Ronnie. "Mr. Spells, what is this mixture you're making?" "Oh, it's just invisible paint," said Mr. Spells. "Once it cools, you can use it on anything and it makes any object invisible. You can't see it, you know, when you've dabbed it with this. It's very useful sometimes." Ronnie began to tremble. Was this man a wizard? His house was called Wizard Cottage, and his name was Mr. Spells, and he had a black cat too, as all witches and wizards did. You needn't be afraid of me, said Mr. Spells kindly. I see you're trembling. There are bad wizards and good ones, just as there are bad boys and good boys. Well, I'm a good wizard, and I hope you're a good boy. Mother says I am, said Ronnie, still trembling a little. Then he heard the clock strike 5. Oh dear, is it really 5 o'clock? I must go then, because Mother will worry if I don't get back in time. She'll think I'm lost in the fog. Well, thank you again for bringing Cinders home, said Mr. Spells. Perhaps you will come and have tea with me tomorrow. I'd be delighted to see you. I could teach you quite a lot of interesting things. Oh, thank you. I'd love to come to tea, said Ronnie, delighted. I'll be along at 4:30 after school. Goodbye, Mr. Spells. Goodbye, Cinders. Meow, said Cinders. Ronnie stroked him and then went down the passage and let himself out the front door. He walked home in the fog, feeling quite dazed. What a very peculiar adventure, and to think he was going to go to tea with Mr. Spells the very next day, with a wizard. He must be a wizard. How very exciting. His mother laughed when he told her all about his adventure. You're dreaming in the fog, she said, but go if you like, and just ask Mr. Spells if he can give me a bit of magic to keep the fire from going out. It's behaving very badly lately. So the next afternoon Ronnie set off. He went all the way down Hanger Lane to the corner. But dear me, what was this? The house on the corner was called Thornfield, not Wizard Cottage. Then where was Wizard Cottage? It should be next to Thornfield on the corner. But it wasn't. There was no house beyond Thornfield. It was a very puzzling thing. No matter how hard Ronnie hunted, he simply could not find Wizard Cottage. Well, all I can think is Mr. Spells must have painted his house with this invisible paint, thought Ronnie. I'll just have to keep a lookout for old Cinders. I might see him and get him to take me back to the house again some day. Ronnie's mother wasn't a bit surprised to see Ronnie coming home without having found the house. It was all nonsense, she said. You made it up or dreamt it. But now I'll tell you a very peculiar thing. Do you remember that some of the mixture in the pot splashed onto Ronnie's right shoe? Well, when it cooled, it made the whole shoe invisible. So now Ronnie can't see it, and he's been hunting high and low for it. And it's there in his cupboard, lying beside the left shoe. But it can't be seen. You might tell him if you see him. Oh, so it was true after all. Wow. How exciting. That was a peculiar adventure, wasn't it? Well, I hope you enjoyed that. And I will be back again tomorrow with another story for you to go to bed with. So I love you loads. So night-night Torben, I love you. Night-night Atty, I love you. Night-night Ruby, I love you. And night-night little Max, I love you too. You be good. And I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.